So let's pull that in, and what we're going to have, good, just about 15 at least. Calculate. So 66 mil and 10 mil left.
Right.
Okay, so yep. So 5. That's 10 mil left. 66. So 1, 2, 6. Okay, 170 gram burgers.
Rightio. Oh, good to go.
Let's just see, okay.
Rightio. Left and tall. Hard to see. 3/4 of target tall, 1.5 targets left.
Okay. That was good, so it was left.
Yes.
So a little bit too far on the left dial. Okay. There. And too tall.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I didn't see the dust.
No, it was very small impact. Oh, just over the top. 11 o'clock, just over the top.
Okay. Now, then we're sort of sneaking up on it.
Sure are.
G'day and welcome to Mark and Sam After Work. Today I want to talk a little bit more about this rifle in front of us. It's set up, well, and the caption on the title on the video, a 270 Winchester out at 3100 yards, or just under, 1 yard under. Listen, it was a day that was supposedly, as I keep on saying this year, with the weather report that was a lot lower. We had a weather report of 8 to 10 miles an hour. We got a weather of 15 to 25 miles an hour. Not very stable conditions and pretty ugly, but we are very time poor and we try and make the most of what we're doing. Lots to do, a short space of time to do it. So we're trying to do a fair bit in that time. One of the things was to take the 270 out and see what it was like. See and take it out. We've got this bit of paddock that we can actually use. Figured out a bit of paddock on this property we can actually use. We would like some moderate conditions to be able to test it, but listen, even in these conditions, I got the test done. We didn't actually get to knock that plate down. So for people who are busting to see that plate go down, it didn't happen, but I'd have to say the consistency I saw was awesome. Really, really impressed with the round, really impressed with with the rifle and how it's all working. So that was one of the things I wanted to go out. Did want to knock down the plate, but I've got to, we'll put forward what actually happened. And you'll see in that the consistency of this thing in those really not suitable conditions by any means. Not only was that wind a little bit too high, but it was also irregular. So it was changing in direction. Some big changes there's things where all of a sudden I'd have a shot that was I don't know, 10 feet off target, 6 feet off target, and then have to bring it back in, and then it would be consistent. But trying to get closer than that, the little irregularities were always there. If I held a little bit to the left, then it would still go there, and if I held a little bit more, it would go too far, and it was just dealing with wind that was too inconsistent. As you'll see, I actually did a drone flight there, and you'll see that drone was flying along at 45 degrees trying to deal with the wind that bullet was going through. So hard work. But as said, super happy with the combination. Another thing we got on top is a different rifle scope, which I'll go through in a little minute, but let me just walk through for those who don't know, go through the rifle quickly. It's a 27-inch Swan 1 8 twist barrel in the 270. It's got one of our 3-port muzzle brakes on the front of it. We've got one of our bipod systems on a barrel guard, and one of our barrel guards on the Southern Cross small arms chassis. Nice strong chassis. Hauer, Trude, long action receiver, or action I should say. And then it's just the Hauer trigger that I've simply I've adjusted and got it down to the 1.2 pounds. MDT pistol grip, one of our bag riders, and some slight little mods I've made to the back of this to raise the butt pad up to get it to where I want it to be. With this setup, it did have the folding stock in it. With this setup, I pulled it forward, pulled it out, got everything to where I want it to be. And I suppose the only other bit is we've got a little mod on here to put a bolt knob on the Hauer. So that's what you're looking at in the way of the rifle. The round is just the 270 Winchester in the way of a factory chambering with the 170 grain Berger projectile, and I pushed the throat forward a little bit to match it to end up where I got a bullet sitting like this and running around the this one's running around the 20 thou jump. So that's it. We've tested this before, got it working really nicely, good bullet speed, and listen, on there very quickly. I'll go through in the process of what the other thing I was actually doing in our time poor environment, what I was actually doing. And that's testing this scope. I thought it was a good place to actually go through and test this scope. Now this is a scope that's sent across from Stuart over at VRT in Australia. They're the March dealer in Australia, or for this neck of the world. And they had this scope. I've tested the Genesis before, but this is the Genesis Mini, I think is what it's called. Basically it's a 4 by to 40 by in a 52mm objective scope. The big deal with these Genesis scopes is that they adjust onto target a little bit. They adjust their corrections or their settings, so elevation and windage are done differently. These scopes always keep a true optical center, so you look straight through the center. So it uses the lenses in the absolute best quality. So that's a very nice way to do things. The way they achieve that is by, rather than adjusting the reticle inside the scope, they adjust, it's quite different looking as you can see, and they adjust the whole scope. So you're always looking through the center of it. If you bear with me and watch, we'll dial up. Wrong way, so. There is at full elevation. I haven't actually checked that. I think it's 300 minutes, not even 250 minutes of elevation. Or this one's actually in mil. I'll come back down. What I was actually shooting at, just let me get back down so I can stop talking and stop thinking about that and start talking about thinking about what I'm talking about. I was actually shooting at 220 minutes of elevation, which is like 65 mil. And I also had to dial on just on the 12 mil of windage to deal with what I was talking about, to do that shot. I had simply bore sighted the setup. That's what I'd done. And then I dialed on from the data I had, and we were only, well, you saw that first shot over there, not too far off target. Within only 3 shots, we were very close, and it looked like it was going to be a very, very easy day in the way of, even in the ridiculous conditions. Very good vision, very trustworthy what I was up to with the scope, very happy with that side of things. And I was actually I usually do it. I was testing a little bit, but I was quite comfortable to go right up to 40 power. So I was using right up at that sort of power, nice and clear vision onto target. And I really felt we were going to take that pretty easily. What I found was what you'd really expect. That wind was too high and it was too irregular. I found that we would get to almost there and then the wind would change, and then I would be coming back with a couple of shots to get back on the target, and then it was a little bit irregular and then it would change. So I was only really getting at best a 5-shot string of moderately irregular wind to then have a big change.
Right, low, yep, half target low. That's about 5 o'clock. Oh, just off top right corner. Oh, left is 9 o'clock.
Wow, I don't know if we can get much closer. So.
I know. Oh, low. What do we take? Yeah. Oh, left. What do we target left?
It's hard to call.
Yeah, man. Oh, just
So
off top,
too
12 o'clock.
much in the way for the conditions, and in all fairness it was really probably a silly day to try and do too much in it. But I have too much to test, or we have too much to test, too much to do with too little time. So we've got to use what we've got this season. It's a windy year, so we've just got to sort of suck it up and do the best we can with it. So scope, on that score, I'm very happy with it. I'll put on some images of what it looked like there, but also what it looks like in the 4 to 40 by power. And I suppose this is the March, this is the mini March, so the 4x40 there. It's a bigger brother, which I've tested before. And I think this is probably a little bit more in the place where everything works a little more appropriately. I think for this sort of style of thing that adjusts the scope up and moves the whole scope, is that probably around somewhere between 200 and 250 is the maximum that it's practical to use it at. From both when you start looking through the barrel, to so how high you've got to have the scope, to how much you've got to adjust your cheek riser to the back of it, all that sort of stuff. I think that's probably the practical maximum of it. And you do have to keep in mind you're going to need to be adjusting your position of the back of the scope to use this sort of thing. But to gain the optical quality side of things and have it in a one package, in one thing. There's nothing bolted, there's no extras on the front of it, there's no adjustable base or anything. This is just a scope bolted onto the rifle, and it really made that work. It made it work really well. I was really happy with how it all worked. It is, I suppose, it is a first focal plane, and it is a mil scope. So I'm much more comfortable with my MOA, not that that's a huge difference. First focal plane, I'm much more comfortable with second focal plane. I like my reticle to stay small. This reticle still gets reasonably big at 40 power, but it is a very nice light reticle. Not much on it. I'll put that on there so you can see that clearly. So still worked really nicely. And certainly it performed as good as any scope could do it for the shot we're trying to do there. The conditions were just too much for things, so I have to simply expect that. That's how it was. And you'll see the amount of wind, even on the drone shot there, you can see how that was flicking sideways, flying sideways, and you're looking out the corner of the thing because we just had too much wind. Anyway, I think that's about it. I should say on this scope, I put just one of the little US Optics bubble levels, any bubble level. They've got a nice little rail option on the front here. And that's one of the things out of having the fixed body in the middle and the scope moving through the middle. And you'll see, for those people who don't know, yeah, feel that adjustment. See that movement there? That's actually because there's a big set of springs and dampeners that are actually holding this scope down on the stop, and that's what you're adjusting, is the stop. No issues with shooting. There's no irregularities or anything like that, and certainly that's part of what I'm proving. When I can go on and shoot so close, so consistently in such bad weather, even though we didn't get that target down, really points out as to the, in both things. One, being able to dial on so accurately, small adjustments, we're exactly what we're supposed to be, and be consistent in such conditions, really says that I was happy with it. Worked really well. I think that's about it. The 270, I come back to the 270, yeah, 270. So maybe in the current climate we can call it the 6.8 Winchester. Less, yeah. It's basically, it is the same bullet as the 6.8 Western that's been released recently, and probably very similar performance. I haven't done the maths on that one there, but really this is something from a long time ago that certainly cuts well above its weight of what a lot of people would think. Obviously, it's not in the average hunting or the classic hunting rifle, the 20-inch or 22-inch with a 1 in 10 twist sporter barrel. No, it's not in that. This is a proper length barrel. This is, well, it's like I said, 27-inch barrel, 1 in 8 twist, heavy barrel, that side of things. But you put that combination together and that performed really well. Really happy hitting out there. Nice dust strikes for as far as I'm concerned, but obviously carrying a fair bit of energy out there. And at that, the 220 minutes to go the 3,100 yards, everything's working really well. And the whole rifle shot well, really happy with it. I'd have liked to get a hit for you guys, but listen, I've got to deal with what it is, and we'll keep it real. That's the sort of day we had. We managed, our concerns were also getting sand in, or dust in our eyes from being in the wind we were at and the buffeting and that side of things. We're pretty well set up for it. With Sam, with her low spotting gear, manages to get down out of it. And nice and stable what we're doing, but really just a bit too much, and not something you would choose to do if you had the choice. But anyway, it's still good. We're out shooting, went really well, really happy with it. Yeah, hope you liked it. We're happy with the scope. I'll send it back now. Probably that's it for the 270 for this year. We've got too much to test, too much coming up, so I don't want to well, like I said, too much to do, too little time to do it in. Anyway guys, thanks for checking in on us. Hope you liked it. We'll catch you next time.